hello, hello. If I don't happen to see your comment as we go along, please drop it in anyways. I promise to answer it as we finish the video. I'll come back in and rewatch. So we have a wood lid, okay? It has a galvanized tin edge to the lid. I've put tape here because I don't want to paint on the galvanized tin lid. I've got a little menagerie of paintbrushes and I have a heat gun on the floor. So we're just gonna go right ahead and paint over top of this cutie little house that somebody's painted on here. I'm gonna mix for the background some Terra clay paint, which is kind of nice and chunky. This is called Cerulean Blue. Cerulean Blue is this gorgeous kind of bluish color. I just wanna kind of get on a nice base. I'm not gonna use a primer. I feel like the paint's gonna soak in pretty well. We're gonna be able to cover up this cutie little house easy peasy. So I'm gonna start off with Cerulean Blue from the Terra Clay paint line. Now, when I use Terra Clay paint, it's because I love the texture that Terra Clay paint gives me. It has a textured finish to it. It dries thicker. So out of the colors I'm going to use today, this is a Cerulean Blue. I'm going to use a little bit of the Daffodil, possibly. Actually, no, let's use Wheat. Let's use Cerulean Blue, Wheat, London Blue, and a little bit of Malachite today. And we're going to create a little background over here with my brush. I'm not going to blend it yet. I'm just going to lay down these colors. What this is going to do is cover up the cutie little painting that's on there, along with giving me a nice base for my bird nest. Remember, we're going to paint a gorgeous bird nest over here. Now, this is looking kind of dark. I'm gonna keep the same brush. I'm gonna dip into that Wheat. It's just a little bit more yellow. I just want to break up some of the blue a little bit. And I even want like a little bit lighter in the middle. So let's go over here and grab some Desert Tan. I've got some in another container. I'm not even going to change my brush, y'all. I'm gonna totally double dip. And we're just gonna start to lay these colors down. Once I get this color pattern down, what I'm going to do, I'm not even gonna use that malachite. I don't even think I'm gonna add any green. I want it to be blue sky. What I'm gonna do while this is still wet is blend these colors together. Now, if you've used Terra Clay paint before, you know that Terra Clay paint really likes a natural bristle brush. You know what else it likes? Water. Where's my water bottle? Hold tight while I go grab that because I seem to have misplaced it. Hold on one quick second. I'm coming back. I told you I'm not in my usual spot. I'm sitting at the table versus sitting on the floor where everything is usually within arm's reach. So I need to grab this water bottle. Let me put it over here and let's mash these colors together. All right, put that mic back on. So I'm gonna wet this natural bristle brush. That's the best thing about Terra is that Terra Clay paint has the ability to really blend easily. So this paint is thick. It's going to give me texture. I just want to gently ombre blue these colors together. All right. I'm going to start with the edges. And what this is going to do is just blend the colors together and allow me to create a texture on this wood lid. Right? When you paint with canvas, you usually have like a nice texture on there. Canvas has kind of like a crosshatch material. This is just a wood lid, so I want to create texture where there really is none. And I want it to kind of just be like a cloudy little sky. So when I come in here and paint this bird nest on here, it's going to be a nice backdrop. I'm going to bring it in nice and close so you can see some of that texture. Can you see how that texture starts to happen? That's what we want. That's what I want. If you feel your brush gets a little contaminated, you can wipe it off and respray it with water. Once we get this background down, we're gonna paint the gorgeous bird nest and we'll see how far I can get it today. I'm really gonna work quick to try and get the whole bird nest painting in one video because I think it's helpful for people to see the whole thing without having to search in multiple different places. Okay, so I'm just really blending that background. Can you see how fast and simple Terra Clay paint blends? It is my favorite. I love Terra Clay paint. This is going to be the perfect smoky background for my bird nest. I think I want to add just a little bit more blending over here. A natural bristle brush, you don't even have to use anything more than a chip brush for your Terra Clay paint, gives you the best look. I mean, seriously, how fast was that? Fast, fast, fast. So the colors I used for my Terra Clay paint background are Cerulean Blue, a little bit of the London blue, some wheat, and some desert tan. There, beautiful, beautiful background, right? This is what we want. We just need a smoky background. Okay, so now I'm gonna put this brush down because I'm probably not gonna use this one again. I'm gonna grab my heat gun and we're gonna dry it. If you happen to see any little stray hairs on here from your natural bristle brush, because they do shed, you can gently touch them and they'll fall off, or you can wait for them to be dry. And when they get dry, you can sand them back. I just gently touch them after they get dry and they disappear. So let's see how much of that little house that's underneath. I can still see the windows. I might have to add a little bit more over here. Look at, I can still see, can you see the windows peeking through from the little, what was on there? Like a tiny little house, right? Let's just add a little bit more blue and a little bit more of that cream and then cover them up. Because I'm gonna cover most of it with the bird nest, but we're just gonna wanna cover that just a little bit more. I just wanna fade out that little tiny house that was underneath. If you're ever worried about bleed through like that, you can totally prime first. Priming is always recommended, but y'all, I don't have time. I've got no time over here for the craziness. I actually just decided today that I was going to paint this. I have a whole nother project on the floor over there, but I just couldn't, I couldn't do it live. It was, the other project that I have to work on is a lot of hand painting. And if you know me, sometimes when I hand paint, I can't talk. And what would a live video be without talking? That would just be weird. So I'm saving the hand painting one over there for another day. Okay, so let's get this on here. Get this dry. That's better. Now I can't see the house as much. Okay, so now for your second step. Now you've got like a nice blue ombre base, right? This beautiful blue ombre base can go any way, right? Because this is a lid that's going to sit flat on top of a literal cheese box, a vintage cheese box. I think I've got 3 of them. I think they're about $5 or $10 each. I did Christmas on one. I did pumpkins on one. Super cute. So now you just have to decide, where do you want to put your bird's nest? Well, I kind of like this as the sky, and I think the bird nest will work well right here. So let me move my Terra clay paint just a little bit out of the way, because I don't think I will be using these bright colors as much for the rest of my project. Yo, I need a bigger table. This is what I need. I need like the big artisan size table, not just this little folding table, because you know what's going to happen. I'm going to put this paint over here and it's going to fall on the floor. Something crazy will happen. Let me move some paint out of the way. And then we'll start our bird nest. So when you paint a bird nest, what did I tell you? Don't worry, it landed, it's actually not even open. We're totally safe. Landed the right way up. When you paint a bird nest, all you need is a bunch of brown colors. So over here to paint my bird nest, I grabbed some pine cone. I grabbed some beautiful gold moonshine metallics, because that gold moonshine metallics is going to be key for making the bird nest look super good. I've got my Artisan Brushes in a cup, and I've got caviar black, and I've got some brown as well in this gorgeous mud puddle, because we all know mud puddle's like my new favorite, right? New fave color. So how do you start a bird nest? Well, you're going to grab your Artisan Brushes. I have many in my little cup over here, which is, I love you more than Canada loves hockey. We know that's true. So it doesn't matter what brush you do. I'm gonna go a little bit bigger to begin with, okay? This is one of Dixie Belle's Artisan Brushes. So I'm gonna place this bird nest off center. This bird nest is gonna be off center to the right. Then what's gonna happen is I'm gonna bring some branches out, and the branches could even contain flowers. Like I might even do like cherry blossoms on there. We'll see how far we get today. All right, so I'm gonna dip in my black caviar, and I'm gonna create a big black spot. So the spot that I'm creating is going to be a little bit larger than it needs to be. And we're gonna be painting bird nest over top of the edges. This is gonna be the center of the bird nest, right? This will be where your little tiny baby eggs are going to sit. So using the black to kind of outline the edges and decide how big your nest is gonna be. I feel like it'll be about this big, so I'm gonna stop there. I have a small cup over here with water. And again, now that my base has started, I'm gonna dry this spot. If this was being painted on a slower motion video where you guys could hang out and watch paint dry, I wouldn't need the heat gun. But for now, we really need the heat gun. to hurry up the process. All right. So I'm going to now start with a dark brown. I'm going to come in first with the dark pine cone, okay? We're going to start that with, again, another Artisan's brush. And we're going to start to create very simple pieces of sticks, right? Because bird nests are made from sticks. Some will be long, some will be short. This is so simple, you guys. I promise you can do this, okay? I tell you that all the time, that you need to trust me. I'm just going to gently draw in some darkness for these bird nests, okay? So you can do longer sticks. You can even change your brush. Do you want to do a smaller brush? You could use a thinner brush, a little bit more of a pokey brush, if you will. I'm going to dip it in the water first, and then we're going to gently create some other little areas here. Let me get my spray misting bottle. I feel like I need some water on the lid. Okay. So we're going to get Bob Ross in here today, all right? So all we're doing is starting to create different sticks that will be the base of my bird nest. I'm going to go heavier on the bottom, is what I consider the bottom of the nest. And I'm also going to switch up some of the strokes from straight across to a little bit more broken up, right? There's no rhyme or reason to any of this. This is just how I've done it a couple times, and it always looks super cute. Keep a loosey-goosey free hand, and you're ready. So there's my first strokes of my bird nest, okay? Now I'm gonna go into a different color. I'm gonna go into that mud puddle and start to add a little bit more dimension, okay? With some different colors of the strokes. Building, just like you're building a nest, right? Building up some of these edges. Okay, now I'm going to take a quick break and we're going to dry some of these beautiful branches. Because if I keep going over top of this wet, all of the colors will start to combine, and I don't want to do that. I want to keep it fairly loosey-goosey, and then we're going to just build on these layers. I promise you can do this. I see somebody saying she doesn't think that she can. I'm sure you can. I'm going to go back and forth between pine cone and mud puddle to create little tiny sticks. Okay? You can even use a little bit, go back into the black caviar if you want, just to create some depth with different colors. All we're doing is adding sticks, because birds just make their nests out of sticks, right? This isn't hard. Okay, now we're gonna go a little bit lighter. I'm gonna go back into the Desert Tan from the Terra clay paint line. I have some here. I'm just gonna drop some here on my paper. And I'm going to grab my spray misting bottle and I'm gonna make it a little bit wetter because we know Terra clay paint's thick and I want it a little bit thinner. So now we're gonna start to move into the lighter shades of the sticks on the nest. Now you can see why I taped off my edges, because I really want to bring this nest nice and close. Again, you can do them long, you can do them short. This is just gentle strokes. Is that looking like a bird nest yet? I mean, it's super basic, right? Super basic. But now we're going to take it to the next level. Behind me on my table, I have a sheet of vintage music, okay? Let's rip this up. We're going to start to incorporate mixed media into our work. I'm going to take longer pieces of paper to mimic the shape of the nest. Okay, I'm going to lay them down here until I get as many as I need. If you have, say, an old vintage book with words, if you wanted to rip out specific words, I've done that before too. I've done words like love, words like family, because this is a bird's nest, right? This is a bird's nest. And a bird's nest to me is kind of a symbol of like a mom holding her little babies safe in the nest. And that was the basis for the piece that I did a couple weeks ago. It was actually for a mom of 4. and she had me do 4 little eggs in my sweet little nest. Okay, so I'm just ripping up the paper. You can use any kind of paper you want. You could use decoupage paper. You could use music paper like I'm using. You could use whatever you like, okay? So I'm gonna put that back. Clear coat satin. Real fancy over here using recycled. What is this? I think this held strawberries. We're getting crazy over here, right? Crazy. Okay, so here's our nest. Here's our paper. I'm going to start to add, I'm going to take the clear coat. You can either put it on your piece, but this is still fairly wet. I don't want to, so I'm going to lay it down. And I'm going to bathe the back of my paper in clear coat. What that's going to do is adhere this paper to my piece. All right, so I'm painting the back of my paper in clear coat, and you can even do it on top. We're going to be painting right over top of it. We're just going to start to add layers. Add layers. Adding interest and dimension to the piece is what this is all about. And you can't tell me that you haven't or you can't do this, because I've done bird nest art like this with my daughter at a small studio here in Richmond, where you can go in and you paint, and somebody paints something and you follow their direction. And she at the time was only, oh gosh, she was so little. She was so little. I bet you she was like 8 when we did it. And I've hung them on my wall. I love kids art. Okay, so here we go. See how now this is starting to come around by adding the paper? So again, using clear coat. If you don't have clear coat, you could probably use gator hide or Mod Podge, whatever you like. And I'm just putting it onto the back of the paper and adhering it onto my box. This is not a game for the people that don't like to get messy. You know, we like to get messy. We get messy. I see somebody saying she doesn't have the Terra yet. Did you know that Terra clay paint is available in the tiny little 4-ounce sizes, which is amazing, because I think for every piece of art that I do, I almost always do Terra on the background, because look at that. Look at that beautiful ombre base. It's really, really nice. Okay, a couple more pieces of paper, and then we're gonna go back to painting. So you just kind of have to like spread it out. This is a mixed media piece of work. I feel like it definitely needs more on this side. Let's add a couple more over there and then head back to the painting part of the project. You could even get crafty and add gold leaf to something like this. I've added gold leaf to mine as well before. I really like adding gold leaf for dimension as well. How are we feeling about this layout? If somebody's looking at buying Terra clay paint in a couple of different 4-ounce sizes, I always recommend going in similar shades. So if you were to say, what couple of Terra clay paint shades go together well? I would stick with something like this: Lonnie's Lagoon, maybe London Blue and Malachite, or Galaxy Malachite and London Blue, or Cerulean Blue, Blue Moon, Blue Agave. Keeping it within the same color family really helps you get the most out of your paint. Okay, so now we've got our vintage music paper on there. I'm just going to gently touch it to make sure that I've got it stuck down. And it's okay if your paint even gets on the paper, because it's just going to age it a little bit. Let me grab my heat gun and give it a little blast of heat, and then we're going to keep adding our layers. So this is going to look great from all angles. It doesn't matter which way your nest is going to be. And here's the cute thing too: when you do come in here and add your eggs, you're able to add as many as you like. So do you have, 2 kids or 3 kids that you're wanting to add eggs for? I feel like the eggs are like a little, what is it, a cinnamon for babies? Kind of like a similar, it's a cinnamon. Why can't I say it? Not an acronym. I'm going to say cinnamon, and it's not a cinnamon. It's a cinnamon. No, cinnamon. No, say the word for me. Somebody spell it. You know the thing I'm saying, the thing that tells you what it symbolizes. I know the words right there in my head, but remember we talked about not being able to paint and think at the same time? Yeah, that's what's happening to me. So I'm just going to add a couple more little branches over top of the paper. Acronym, not cinnamon, cinnamon. No, I'll just stop talking. Cinnamon. Nice, thanks, Patty. You know what I'm talking about, right? I mean, it makes sense in my head, but geez. Okay, so now here's something I'm gonna do is come back into the black caviar. I want to pretend that this is gonna be the shadowy part of the nest. I'm gonna add a little bit more of that black back in, if that makes sense, just to be a little bit more depth to the base, right? So there's my nest almost. I'm gonna be adding gold to it too. Let's turn it a little bit and add maybe a tree branch coming out. What do you think about that? That would be cute. So I've got a little rag on my lap here. I'm gonna come back into the brown, which is pine cone, and we're gonna start to create a branch. Now, who remembers from the last time we painted branches together? I told you to treat a branch like a finger. A branch isn't straight. When you paint a branch, I want you to think of it in joints, bending joints. Okay, so here's my joint. I'm going to come up this way. Here's my joint. I'm going to come this way. Your branch might have more than one piece of stick on it, so I can kind of branch out to other ways. We're going to do one branch here. Should we do more than one? Let me think. How would we like the branch to go? Should we put flowers on this branch? You could do tiny little cherry blossoms too. That's cute, 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 cute. Okay, now let's go back in. I'm gonna go into the black. Where's my shadow base? Remember, you want to think about where your light's coming from. If I'm looking at this nest, I'm gonna say the shadow base is this way. So that means only this side of the tree branch is going to get the caviar. That means that the other side is going to get a lighter color. We're going to come up here and create a beautiful branch. Once again, thinking about your shadow base is always going to be a good idea when you're doing any form of painting, because it's going to allow you to create something that looks a little bit more realistic by painting the lighter on the top where the light would hit, and then the darker on the base. So I'm going to go back into that lighter color. You could use white, you could use desert tan, but I'm going to add the light to the top of the branches. And all of a sudden, your branch starts to look a little bit more realistic. Somebody was just saying glue on tiny flowers. That would be really cute since this is like a lid, right? Since this is a lid, that would be a super great idea. Okay, now I'm going to look for a very skinny brush. Let's see if I can find one that's very small. And I'm going to go into my Gold Digger Moonshine Metallics, and I'm going to start to add the detail around the top. I find that the top detail in gold is the thing that adds kind of like the perfect touch, because you can be a little bit more gentle with your strokes and create that top layer with a little bit of shine, even going over the music paper. Am I putting you all to sleep yet? Should I drop some more stuff off the shelf in my paint room to scare the pants off you? I mean, I could do it. The ghost could do it. I swear, I have no idea why that thing fell off my shelf. It's crazy, strange things. Okay, looking good. I'm even gonna take some of this gold. I'm gonna tiny touch the trees a little bit. Would you like to put flowers on the trees today? We could do a couple little finger paint flowers. I brought over some of the bougainvillea. It's not in the correct jar, but this is a Terra clay paint in bougainvillea, which is a beautiful pink. Let's see. I'm going to actually start with the desert tan in my finger. Let's do a little finger painting, okay? We're gonna make a flower. And don't overthink this, okay? If you start to overthink it, then it's gonna start to get harder to do. Okay, I'm just taking my finger. I'm gonna make petals. We can even take a petal falling off the tree. Okay, cute, cute, cute. Now let's wipe my hands. I always have this on instead of manicure. I'm gonna go into the pink. I'm gonna stir it up a little bit. Should have shook it up before I started. Let's add a little bit of that pink to this lid. So this pink right here is the bougainvillea. Let's start to add a little bit of pink to those blossoms. If you wanted to add a little bit more definition, all you have to do is gently start to paint in some blossoms. Maybe you don't want them circular. Maybe you want to paint your petals with the darker inset. I mean, this is abstract art. This is totally subjective to whatever you decide you want to do. I do like it when the pink is mixed in a little bit more. Let's mix in some more of that pink. Okay, there's our pink little blossoms. In the middle of the blossoms, I'm going to add a couple dots of gold. Literally just made those blossoms happen with your fingers. Loosey-goosey. Remember, don't overthink it. You're able to really achieve whatever effect you want. Now, I'm going to teach you my trick for making things look just looking better, if that makes sense. Less painted, more like, I don't know what the word is I'm going to look for here. I want it to look a little bit more dirty. Let's dirt it up. Y'all know I like to dirt up my work. I'm going to mix up a lot of water and a little bit of paint, okay? And this is where I tend to run into trouble with my walls. Everybody's always like, Melissa, your walls are so nice. Your studio walls are so clean. Yeah, they're clean because I repaint them all the time because I do things like this. I'm going to take my brush and I'm going to start to flick some paint. This only works with really wet brushes. And this is just adding a little bit more depth to my piece. Can you see those tiny little speckles? Now let's do it. Let's do it again, but let's do it with a lighter color. Okay? That means a different brush. I'm going to spray the heck of the water in my lids. This might also be why the lids don't close well for my paints, because, you know, we're getting artsy over here. Artsy craftsy. Let's do the same thing. Couple splatters. Okay, so you're going to say to me, really, what did that do? You know what that did? That just changed the edges. That just changed the look of those beautiful edges around the flowers. It just makes it look so much more organic, right? So now we have this gorgeous nest. We have our cute little tree. We added some cherry blossoms. Let's paint some eggs. And for the life of me today, I could not find any vintage duck egg. So we're gonna have to create our own vintage duck egg, because vintage duck egg is the perfect color for little eggs, little robin speckled eggs, right? I mean, that's the color we're gonna look for. So let's take a little bit of antebellum blue and mix it with some cream. See if we can't make ourselves a little bit of vintage duck egg. What do you think? We can make this happen, right? Vintage duck egg is basically just a greeny, a really pretty green. So this is antebellum blue and a little bit of cream. You could use buttercream. And this is enough to paint some eggs, right? Paint some cutie little eggs. How many eggs would you like to put in our little bird nest? 2, 3? I feel like 3 is a good number. So let me see if I have enough room to put my elbow down, because I like a supported elbow when I paint nests. And I'm out of room on my table. There we go. So I like to support my hand, right, and hold this. So I'm going to come in here. We're going to paint 3 little eggs. 1, 2, and they're going to overlap. 3. Okay, 3 tiny eggs. And we're going to start with the furthest one away first. Because what you're going to do is paint that entire egg in your blue, and then you're going to add a little bit of brown to your brush. I'm going to come back in here and start to make a little bit of shading happen. Everybody still there? Have I put you to sleep? So we have one little egg shaded. Let's add a little bit of brown to that. That's a little bit darker, just so we can get that tiny shaded egg. He's hiding out behind the other ones. He's the baby egg of the family. He's hiding out. So let's just add a little bit of shading. Remembering your light source. My light source is here coming down, which is why the bottom of the branches are dark, the bottom of the nest is dark. That also means the bottom of the eggs has to be dark as well. Right? A little bit of shadowing. Cute, 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 cutie cute eggs. If you like, you can take a little bit of the light source, which is a cream color, and do the lightest little bit of cream at the top where the light would hit. One egg, done. Cute. Can you see the shading on that little egg? Adorable. Let's fill in the second one now. Now remember too that these eggs are going to be speckled eggs, right? Because these are probably going to be cute little springtime robin eggs. And robin's eggs are always that beautiful shade of blue that have also a touch of speckles. So once we get all 3 eggs down here onto my wood, what's going to happen is we're going to come in here and speckle them with the paint in the same way that we did do the speckles along the bottom of the painting. Just adding the shadows, that light source, and then the last egg. So now you understand why we did the back egg, second egg. This first egg is going to sit in the front. So let's come in here and paint this egg. And this egg's actually going to be, I think, even a little bit lighter blue. To add a little bit more lightness to this one. And a touch of the brown around the bottom. And the shading as well. What do you think? Do you guys think that you're going to be able to do this? I want you to drop in the comments below if you're going to try and paint this. I think this would be cute on tiny little canvases. And actually, even on the last one I did, I had a spatula and I pulled that paint across with a brush. It was a lot more textured than this one, but this is already a pretty textured piece, being a piece of wood. So now we have 3 cute little eggs. Let's speckle them up. Let's speckle them up. So if you have little eggs and you want to speckle them, the speckle should be like a little bit brown, because I feel like the speckles on the top of an egg are brown. So let's do the same thing we did with a little bit of that pine cone mixed in to some water on my lid. The wetter your brush, the bigger your speckles. Remember that, okay? So while I'm doing is flicking my brush. If you need to change your angle, because it's hard to flick from the bottom. Now all of a sudden my eggs have speckles. I'm going to pick this up and show you up closer. Look how cute. Aren't those the cutest little thing? Patty, you didn't finish your snowman? Oh my goodness. So now you can see that vintage music paper layered in around all of the colors that we did. We added that cute little branch. I dabbed my fingers and did some really pretty little speckles of flowers. Should we do tiny leaves? I feel like we're missing some green. I have some pistachio over here, which is like my most favorite of the Terra clay paint. Let's get a little pistachio in there just for fun. Let's see, Jean says it'd be great on a plate hanger or gold. You know what? This is going to be so cute on this is the top of the cheese lid. The cheese box lid. Crazy, right? But you guys, whenever you feel like you might have lost your mojo, let's have a little chat here. There's a person behind the camera. Whenever you feel like you've lost your mojo, or for me, when I get to a point where I have a lot of projects that I have to do, sometimes you just need to open up everything, make a giant mess, paint finger painted flowers, and have some fun. Because this is the good stuff. This is the stuff that keeps you inspired, that keeps you happy. Creating art is what keeps me sane. This is my therapy. I'm just super lucky that this is my job, right? So my prescription for you, because it's dark and dreary in January outside, it's like January 503. How many days are in January? I don't think January could be any longer. It's like, I feel like this year, January has lasted, it's like Groundhog Day over and over and over and over again. So my prescription for you to not lose your mojo and have a little bit of fun is to get out your finger paints. Get out your Terra, because Terra seems to be so much fun for this. And start to experiment. Let's paint spring, even if it's not spring outside, because this is what makes my heart happy. There's my Bob Ross moment of the day. If you paint it, it will come. So enjoy your painting. Make a little bit of a mess. Take a break from the things that you have to do and maybe paint something that you want to do. Because seriously, how cute. You know what I'm going to do? I'm even going to spray some of this green. So I've just come in here with the pistachio and made some tiny little baby leaves with my pistachio. And we all know that this is reactivated by water, right? So let's start to drip some green. Let's start to make some beautiful green start to drip down and dry. And when it dries, it's going to create the most beautiful little runs. If it's too much, blot it off. You're the boss. You're the boss of you. I love Terra clay paint for the runny, drippy texture, for making stuff look like it's watercolor when it's not. Like that's the best part. People are going to see this and think, wow, that took Melissa a really long time. Little do they know that we did it on an hour live, right? We did it together this fast. Okay, so let's go over everything we did. Hopefully I did make a big mess. I really did, but that's okay. So now, if you want to paint something like this, all you need is a canvas, and it does not have to be a traditional canvas. This is the lid of a cheese box. Cheese box. And you just need to find your plethora of browns, right? We did pine cone, we did mud puddle. I mixed a little bit of Terra clay paint in there. I added music paper. We painted a tree branch and finger painted flowers on there. Finger painted them. I just touched them with my finger. That's how easy that was. We painted some eggs and speckled them, because little springtime eggs are always speckled. We added a little touch of shine with some Gold Digger Moonshine Metallics, and we ended up with this. You guys, how cute.